I did find a heat map for him as well.
Oh, did I? Nice.
Yeah, I found a heat map, and it's very, very interesting. You'll see a lot of red on that left-hand side, very close to the touchline.
Right.
He seems to be,
Hugs the line.
yeah, he doesn't tend to drift in field too much. So I think when you talk about a flying left back, left wing back, the heat map suggests a very stereotypical one. A lot of that heat as well is in the opposition half. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue, and Birmingham City have strengthened in the January transfer window, and our latest addition is a new left back, which we've been crying out for since the injury to Lee Buchanan. Hope I get this name pronunciation right, Matt. It's a South Korean left back called Myung-Jae Lee. It's interesting signing, this one, in terms of this guy being a South Korean international. But myself and Matt in this podcast are going to give a bit of information that we found out about him, and maybe discuss where he, and how he might fit into the current Blues team. So, what's your thoughts on the signing, Matt?
So I think for the interest of ease, I might call him Lee during this podcast, just in case I end up messing up the pronunciation, because I don't want to offend anyone. But I mean, in the interest of full disclosure, I had no idea who this guy was. I had to do quite a bit of research.
Don't you watch the Korean
I
K-League?
I must admit, it's not on the top of my list, no. But in fact, some good players have came out from the K-League, actually, so it's not actually to be underestimated.
Well, I always think of South Korean players. They always seem to become to prominence in the World Cups, don't they? And they always seem to play really good. Like, thinking of Son from Tottenham.
Yeah,
he's South Korean, isn't he? And,
he is, yeah.
And they always, I think, was the one that was actually in Korea and Japan?
2002.
Yeah, they did very well there.
They did, yeah.
And
Japan.
Japan
South Korea.
Yeah, they played really good football, didn't they? So that's my sort of thoughts about South Korean players. They seem to be quite technically very good.
And Paik, Paik South Korean as well. So
I think that's been part of him coming here.
do you think?
Yeah,
It's kind of communication.
Well, I think that that you've got because this is literally is the opposite side of the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you've got a player there that's from your home country, that's going to help in it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think what I'm really happy about this, Dad, because I've got a few strengths and weaknesses. Sorry, we can go into a bit about him and his game in a minute. But what I'm really happy about, because everyone will admit this is the cover for Cochrane.
Yes,
he's a left back. And we know now Lee Buchanan had a really nasty injury. And by the way, I really hope he's recovering well from that, because that was nasty. And Cochrane plays a lot of games, don't he? I mean, he's got to be racking up the most amount of minutes in our team. He's got to be up there, hasn't he? So for us to get a left back now, and Chris Davies tends to keep his cards quite close to his chest, but even he's been saying in his recent interviews, left back, he quite openly admitted that is not a weak area in terms of quality, because we have Cochrane, but just in terms of depth.
Yes.
And I think this now gives us good coverage pretty much all around the full squad now. So, we have just come off the back of a really busy period. We have picked up a few injuries. I think it could have been worse, actually. We've not done too bad. But this really now helps me with that sort of peace of mind at left back. If something does happen to Cochrane, we at least have some decent cover, which is really, really good.
Well, we've had Samsted played there.
Yeah.
Laird play there. But they're
Taylor Gardner-Hickman's probably put a shift in there
but
as well.
But they're all right-footed players.
Exactly.
Earlier in the season, Brandon Keeler, who's now on loan at Bradford, isn't it? He's played there as well. So we've had a few players that have tried to fill in that position. Yeah. But you're right, when we get all these games and cup games, if there's no option, we'll just put Cochrane in the team, because that's all we've got, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
So, I mean, Samsted would be, at the moment, without him, I think Samsted, before this new guy came in, I think Samsted would have been probably the one that would have maybe, if there was an injury to him, probably played there. But I don't know whether Chris Davies feels that convinced with Samsted, because we don't even see him on the bench, do we?
No, the last time we saw him was against Swindon at centre half, weren't it? Do you remember?
Did all right,
He did all right, actually. He did do okay.
Yeah, that was one of his better games for us.
I agree.
But I think he's one of these players that he's definitely a decent player. But I think because of the quality we've got in our squad now, you've got to be better than that.
How can an Icelandic international not make it to a bench of a League One team? That just shows the quality and standard we have. It's crazy, isn't it? But coming back to Lee, Dad, people see him as a K-League veteran. He spent 11 years at his last club, Ulsan HD. I mean, listen to some of these. He's made 249 appearances, 33 assists, 3 goals. And the team he was with won consecutive titles in 2022, 23 and 24. So he was seen as one of the best defenders, left backs in that league.
Yeah.
And he made the all-time, at the end of the season when they do a full-on best of the year squad. He's made that in numerous years as well. So definitely sought after in terms of the K League, and he's also made 7 caps for the National League South Korea.
And they're recent caps as well.
Exactly. I mean, his first one was in 2024.
Because sometimes we do these like profiles of players that have joined in the same. We say that like they were an international. Then we look back. Last time they played was 2017.
Exactly.
This guy, these 7 caps are all the latest. And he's been playing 90 minutes in those games.
The last 2 years.
Yeah. He's 31 years old now. I think that's a good age. People might say that's quite old for a footballer. It probably is nowadays. But 31 is not like too bad. And clearly he's left-footed as well. He's 1.83 meters, so around about 6 foot. So he's not small either, which will be helpful when we're coming to like defending set pieces and stuff.
Good
like
fullback size that.
Yeah, and like you said, I think you mentioned some of his stats in terms of his games and his teams, but he's been on loan a few times. So he joined the Ulsan. HD stands for Hyundai, so it's Ulsan Hyundai, and they sent him out on loan in 2014 to a team called Aberex Niigata. He came back, and then in 2020 went out alone again. Sangju Sangmu, that's a team. I hope I'm saying these correctly. And he went out again on loan in 2021 to Gimcheon Sanggu, and then he obviously became a regular. He's been at this club a long time, and you mentioned some. I think that's good as well. Where obviously because if players are at a club a long time, it means that the club want to keep hold of them. And they could have sent players out on loan for various reasons. It could have been he could have had an injury and he want to get his fitness back, or whatever reason. But clearly, whatever he's done, he's fought his way back and found himself in the Korean first team. Lots of experience. I mean, we can't really judge him on goals because he's a left back, but from what I've read, he's a flying left back. He's got, I can see that in the K League, he's played 166 games. You mentioned the stats where he's played more games than that, but that's including cup games and everything else. He's got 1 goal and 25 assists in those 166 games. And with the South Korean team, like you say, he's played 7 games. He hasn't scored for them, but he's got some good experience. And from what I've read about him, he's a very experienced player.
Yeah, I think you can't stick your nose up at experience, Dad. It's crucial. And what I'm really intrigued to see is how his K-League experience translates to English football, because it's a little bit well, I'm not a K-League expert, but I'm going to guess the English game is significantly different to South Korea. Paik has done all right, absolutely. But all leagues have their differences. German league, Spanish league, English league. They're all different, aren't they, in their certain ways? So I'm intrigued to see how his skill set translates in England.
I think Paik will be able to talk to him about this, because Paik would have played in both leagues as well. He'll say, if you come to the UK, you ain't got no time on the ball and all this type of stuff. So that's really going to help him.
And by the way, that isn't a negative. It's just an observation that it's going to be it's a transferable skill set, but it's a different league. So I'm intrigued to see how that works. And I mean, from what I've read, Dad, he doesn't seem too dissimilar to Cochrane in terms of that. He's good at marking. He's good at putting big challenges in, but he has got a decent left foot on him as well. He likes to get up and get crosses in. And my second point here is actually labelled solid left foot. So I think he's known for his ability. Good passer, good on the ball, good getting balls in the box.
Yeah.
The assists speak for themselves. That's not a bad assist for a left back. For a left back to get.
But that's exactly what Chris Davis would want.
Exactly.
He wants his fullbacks like Laird on the right and Cochrane on the left. He wants them bombing forward.
And the key for me, Dad, my biggest one on here is experience. He's 31 now. He spent 11 years at his last club. He's now playing for the South Korean national team. Again, that brings a bags of experience. So, yeah. Brilliant stuff. I mean, just a few weaknesses, Dad, if you don't mind, quickly, and then I'll pass it back over to injuries. I think he's known, it has been known in the past to be on the injury table a little bit, but I think with football, I mean, there are players who are known to be made of glass, aren't they? Tyler Roberts comes to mind. They're just renowned for being on the injury table. But every player is going to pick up knocks from time to time. It's a physical sport. It's football. But I think he has been known to pick up a few injuries. And I think with him being 31 now, and he's never been renowned for this, it's that pace and agility. But Cochrane's not exactly lightning, is he? But
no.
As a left back and a right back, if you've got good positioning and you can read the game well and you're good on the ball, you'll always do well anyway. So I'm not too worried about the pace and agility sort of area to his game. He's going to bring wealth of experience. And I think for Cochrane, I think this is a good signing.
Well, you've covered well in terms of the same research as me. Obviously, I found it a bit more difficult to find, detailed information on this player. Whereas if you get somebody in Europe or in one of the established leagues around the world, there's lots of data you can find. There's a little bit less on this guy, but I picked up the same as you. And I'm quite pleased with what I saw in terms of the research. You mentioned technical ability. He's classified as a really good skill player and is very, very good on the ball, which is obviously clearly what we do need in our team. Very controlled, a little bit like Paik. I could describe him.
Yeah.
Like that.
Maybe it's a South Korean attribute. In all seriousness, they're just
possibly.
very composed on the ball.
Yeah. He's got this need or attacking prowess, it's called, where he's very attack minded. So that's something again that Chris Davis will set him perfect, and he's got some very good set piece delivery as well. So if we get like free kicks, corners, whatever. He's quite possibly doing that.
That's really good, though, because Cochrane's our set-piece taker. Corners on the other side, he'll occasionally do the free kicks as well. So the fact that he could almost be like for like is very encouraging.
Yeah, and exactly, it was what we need, isn't it? And what I like as well is another left-footed player. So we brought in a number of left-footed players because we definitely lacked that, didn't we, in the squad last year?
It makes a huge difference, Dad. I banged this drum quite a lot just before Christmas when Chris Davies made those changes. Ben Davies at the left side of centre-back, having a left foot, it's no coincidence. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a class player anyway, but like it just gives you so much more balance.
Yeah.
If you're on the left back, in my opinion, you have to be a left footer. Because also that gives you that power then to go down more wider, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you're always going with your right, your inclination is going to be to go inside.
Yes,
a little bit more.
You need that balance. You know, like you say, with right-footed players, they're not going to. The tendency is to cut in. But the thing is, the opposition will know that if a player's playing out of position, and they can rectify that. And I had to find a heat map for him as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I found a heat map, and it's very, very interesting. You'll see a lot of red on that left-hand side, very close to the touchline.
Right.
He seems to be
the line.
Yeah, he doesn't tend to drift in field too much. So I think when you talk about a flying left back, left wing back, the heat map suggests a very stereotypical one. A lot of that heat as well is in the opposition half,
right,
which is going to suit our team. What is going to be interesting though is what is like defensively, because I couldn't find a lot of information about that. Is it's okay going forward and bombing forward, but how do you fill the gaps behind you? Because Cochrane's got a good engine on him, hasn't he? So when he's bombing forward, I mean, obviously he does get caught out a few times, but you will if you're coming from left back to support the forwards and they break quickly.
Yeah.
This guy will be interesting to see because I couldn't see an awful lot of data about his defensive attribute. But then at the end of the day, he's a left back and therefore that he's a defender.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to play him as a wing back, so he has got attacking responsibilities as well. But all in all, I mean, I think this is it's a good, and it is a backup. This guy's a backup signing to Alex Cochrane. I mean, it may not well turn out that way. I mean, if he's outstanding, I mean, it's like Iwata when he came in. Remember Iwata? We didn't really know much about him, did we?
Poor Iwata. He came in the same day Stansfield did, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he kind of went under the radar.
But we always felt because we just signed Mark Leonard before that, and everybody because we didn't know. We just thought, well, Mark Leonard's going to be the first choice because everybody wanted Mark Leonard, didn't they? And then Iwata came in. Suddenly, Mark Leonard wasn't even getting. He hasn't got in the team, so you don't know. I mean, if players come in and they're outstanding, and what's really good as well, provides some really great competition for Alex Cochrane. Yep. I mean, not that he needs any competition in relation to his motivation, because you can't fault his work rate and what he does. But it's always in his mind, isn't it? If I don't really put in a shift there, I've got this chap waiting behind here to come in. But I think Blues have been very clever in their time. Again, I couldn't find this out as well. At the moment, he's without a club.
Right.
Why? I don't know. I've literally tried to find out why he left. He left his club in January, so early this year. And obviously we're only in February, aren't we? And I can't see any reason why. So obviously either his contract came to an end, and maybe he was looking for a move abroad. Didn't want to go. I'm sure he would have had offers from K-League. It's K-League.
K-League, yeah.
But interestingly, so we haven't even got to pay a fee for him.
Nice.
It'd just be salary. It'd just be salary, won't it?
Yeah.
And I believe I believe that it's a till the end of the season contract, but we will see. If anybody wants to stay longer, like all the loan players, they're going to have to fight for it, aren't they?
Absolutely. But there's nothing wrong with competition. I think it's great for everyone now has a player to be aware of that's chomping at the bit and snapping at their heels. I love it. Competition's great, and Chris Davis alludes to this. You're only as good as your last performance, and that comes through the back of competition. If someone's breathing down your neck, it immediately makes you up your game, don't it? So at bare minimum, we get cover for Cochrane, and it increases the competition. Best case, he's an absolutely outstanding. He ends up, more assists, more goals, more contributions. Who knows? But as I say, an astute piece of business, and I think we're showing how clever and Knighthead are here. And again, a very smart investment, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so as well. And what do you think, Blues fans? This guy has came in to clearly provide cover for Alex Cochrane, but do you think he's got the possibility of someone who can establish themselves in the team and actually get in ahead of Alex Cochrane, possibly? I mean, that's unthinkable, isn't it, really, at the moment, what we all think and how we've seen Alex Cochrane play, but you never know. Put your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you think. Hopefully, we've given you a bit of information about this player. And I'm like Matt says at the beginning, we've never heard of this player before. It was sort of announced that we were interested in him. Add a comment below and let us know your thoughts. Of course, as always, if you did like this podcast, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, then you find us on there as well now. And you'll find the handles appearing for all these channels on the screen right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, and you'd like to, then hit the red subscribe button. And if you want notifications every time we put a podcast out, hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button. And then that way, the minute we put a new podcast out, you'll get an alert on your device, phone, laptop, whatever your preference is. So I really hope you've enjoyed the podcast. And myself and Matt will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.